It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
I don't make enough money to build wealth. I mean, we hear that, and then that immediately, because I love just throwing cold water on these limiting beliefs, is because we know that's just not the case. If you have enough time in your corner, you can do a lot with a little. Because remember, you're just taking just a touch, just a dash of today's happiness with deferred gratification for that great, big, beautiful tomorrow. That's what we're trying to get you to accomplish. And here's the numbers that support this whole thought. If you are a 20-year-old, to be a millionaire by the time you're 65 years of age, you only have to save $95 a month. You realize 95% of that is from the growth of your assets, not your savings. It's not you working with your backs, your hands, and your brain. It's actually your army of dollar bills building. That is super powerful.
If you are a 20-year-old in the audience, or you know a 20-year-old, or you interact with a 20-year-old, right now you should stop what you're doing. If you are the 20-year-old, write this down. If you know someone, text them, email them, call them, write them, and say, hey, for $100 a month, you can be a millionaire. It's that easy. So this whole limiting belief that I don't make enough to build wealth, if you can part with $100 a month, you make enough to be a millionaire if you have a long enough timeline. But maybe you didn't start at 20. Okay, I missed that boat. I'm in my 30s. I didn't catch on until later. Well, a 30-year-old only has to save about $270 a month, so less than $300 a month, and still, in their journey to millionaire status, almost 90% of that $1 million came from their army of dollar bills doing what the army of dollar bills does. They only had to account for about 11% of that.
Well, and then 40-year-olds. I mean, we just did a Q&A session where, because somebody was giving horrible advice, telling you, hey, don't worry about saving while you're in your 20s and 30s. Go spend that money because it's going to be scarcer for you anyway. Wait until you make some bucks in your 40s or 50s. Well, we know for 40-year-olds, that number, it's still doable, $780 a month. 77% of that $1 million is going to come from the growth, not your savings. But just take the comparison of $780 a month for the 40-year-old versus the 20-year-old that's $95 a month. Pretty daggum incredible that how powerful time is in this entire equation of wealth creation. So it's still very doable in your 40s, but I'm just telling you, the earlier you start, the easier this whole process is.
Now, we get some flack on the 50s and 60s. People say, oh, well, that just sounds daunting. Oh, that just sounds difficult. Remember, we have this illustration. It always stops at age 65. If you're someone who's 50 years old and perhaps you haven't started saving yet, and you still have aspirations of wanting to build wealth, maybe your exit from the workforce isn't age 65. Maybe you don't only have a 15-year time frame. Maybe you have a 20, 25, 30-year time frame to build wealth. Don't let your limiting belief be, oh, well, I'm too old, I'm too behind the game, I can't build wealth. That's not true. If you still have days left on this earth, you can continue building wealth. Don't let the numbers required to get there by 65 throw you off. But even so, by 65, whatever wealth you will have accumulated, about 55% of that, over half, is because your army of dollar bills doing what your army of dollar bills does. And even from 60 to 65, it's still about, what, a fifth, a fourth, somewhere in that range, about 22% could be your army of dollar bills if you stopped at 65. So don't let yourself think that either one, I'm too old to start, or two, I don't make enough to be super impactful in my portfolio.